Hey there, everybody. This is Adam, your co-host of the Poisoner's Almanac podcast.
Oh, hi, I'm Rebecca.
Sorry.
I'm here.
I said it differently, so it kind of didn't throw to you as smoothly as usual, but whatever.
I really don't like change, so if you could not do that again, that'd be great.
Sorry about that. We are back in the saddle after being on vacation, man.
Like Aerosmith.
Heyo.
Also, another thing that has changed is I have taken over with the whole editing process and uploading. So if anybody has any advice for me, if I'm doing something that I could do better, let me know, because this is like my first time doing this kind of thing.
Right. We kind of, we make content on the side, and it's kind of like a small business for us. So I was talking with Becca a couple weeks ago, man, how can we rearrange some stuff? Because maybe I can offload editing the podcast. And Becca was like, I'd love to try that. And yeah, so we're still, she's still learning the ropes. So y'all just be patient with us. But we're trying to bring you the best podcast we possibly can.
Yes, I like feedback. So
yes,
constructive
correct.
feedback.
There you go.
Yeah, not toxic feedback. Get it? Toxic. So
you said the word toxic on the Poisoner's Almanac podcast?
I did.
Get it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we were on vacation.
We were.
And I heard one of my favorite content creators on Instagram. He said, a vacation is successful if you come back to your job and you're worse at it.
Wow.
And I vibed with that so hard.
I don't think my brain would allow me to do that.
You wouldn't. But I was just like, I want to be that.
Oh my
worse
God.
at my job. Just kidding. But also kind of not kidding, because like everybody's job is kind of stupid. Everybody. I figured that out as a
Why don't
grown-up.
we just change everything?
We should.
You should just change everything.
I want the world in Star Trek Next Generation where money is a nebulous idea.
And you just do things because you feel like it's what you're supposed to do.
You love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't work for money anymore because we have replicators that make hot Earl Grey tea.
That would be great. Tea. Earl Grey. Hot.
Tea. Earl Grey. Hot.
So yeah.
You can do everything right and
I would have every house plant known to man if that were the case.
You would just tell the replicator.
You would not be able to find me in our house because I would have all these plants.
Would you still want me around? I don't know.
You can help me water them.
Okay. Deal. Okay. So, vacation was amazing, and I have forgotten everybody's name at my job, so I think it worked. So, Becca, what are we talking about?
Oh, you remember my name. That's good.
You're not at the job.
No, you're true.
What are we talking about today?
I am a whole job. Okay. We are talking about...
Wasn't ready for that.
We are talking about ricin today. And I know there have been people who've probably heard of this, especially in the early 2000s, because there were some famous cases, or we'll get there.
I first heard of it as a poison because of Breaking Bad.
Are you serious?
100%. Walter White used that poison to poison a child. I'm not kidding. That is in that show.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that show, because I'll be mentioning it a couple of times in here because of its influence for a few people.
I'm so excited. Okay.
Anyway, nothing against Breaking Bad. I've actually never seen the show. I know what it's about.
It's really great.
I know what it's about.
It's actually really great. I tried it skeptically, and next thing I knew, I'm in season 4 or whatever.
Yeah. But anyway, we're going to be talking about Ricinus communis. No, ricin is not communist. It's just called Ricinus communis. I don't know if it's communist. I haven't asked.
There's no record.
No. So
of Ricin's statements on their politics.
Ricin actually comes from the castor bean plant, or the castor oil plant, however you want to call it. Oh. And they're called castor beans, but it's not an actual bean. They're just the seeds of the castor bean or castor oil plant. Mm-hmm. This plant is normally cultivated in Africa, South America, and India, usually like the wet tropics to subtropical dry areas. It's not cold hardy, so it doesn't last in the cold. If it gets too cold, it will die. Okay. This plant is in the spurge family. Do you remember us talking about that when we were talking about trees?
You said spurge family?
Yeah.
No, I don't.
We talked about a few trees that were in the spurge family. I think the manchineal tree was a spurge.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm with you now. I remember the name of that tree.
Yeah.
Okay.
The family is also, it's and I had trouble during that time too, saying this name, Euphorbiaceae. Yeah, there you go. It's a spurge family. It is a fast-growing shrub that can reach the size of a small tree. I say small tree, but it's around 12 meters. It can get up to 39 feet, basically. It's pretty big,
shrub?
Big, small tree. It has thick...
Big, small tree, okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
It has thick, hairless stems that may be pale green, red, or purple with shiny leaves. They're pretty veiny. They can vary in color from green, bronze, or red and reach up to 30 inches in width. So it also has yellowish to greenish flowers and spiny seed capsules, which hold the so-called castor beans, even though they're not a bean. They're a seed.
Okay.
Now, these seeds contain the highly toxic ricin, and poisoning can occur via ingestion, through inhalation, or through injection. It can also be toxic if its powder or dust form gets into the eyes or makes contact with like open wounds or sores, anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the plant itself is highly allergenic with a 10 out of 10 Opals rating. You ever heard of that?
No.
The Opals is Ogren Plant Allergy Scale, which was first published by Thomas Leo Ogren. Could be saying that wrong. Ogren in 2000. It measures a plant's potential to cause allergic reactions.
Really?
Yes. Which
I never knew that scale existed.
Well, I should know about that scale because I'm like allergic to everything. I'm literally allergic to the grass in our yard. And I have houseplants. I like gardening, so it's very unfortunate. I take allergy shots.
Yeah, you literally give yourself allergy shots.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
so intense.
So yeah.
So there's a scale to measure how allergic a particular plant is.
Yes, like I mean, and I don't know if this would be useful in like the case of like poison ivy or poison oak, because not everybody's allergic to poison ivy. Not everybody breaks out poison ivy.
Right.
But for people who do, it can be bad.
Mm-hmm.
So like,
for sure.
I also heard that if you eat a certain fruit, it could like make you immune. I don't know how true that is. I imagine you have to eat a lot of that particular fruit. Is it mangoes or I can't remember.
That's nuts. I never heard that. Okay.
I don't know how true that is. I just heard that. I haven't researched it, but
I should if it's true, I should tell my dad. He is very allergic to poison ivy.
I think you have to kind of do it like early on though.
Oh, okay.
To kind of get your immune system.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm not sure how true that is, and I can't remember which fruit it is. I should probably look that up, but
you got to fun fact your way to that.
I will.
Truth.
Oh, I will. So yes, the castor bean plant is a strong trigger for asthma, and allergies are typically common and severe with this plant. It is the source of castor oil.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen that?
I'll put that together, yeah.
Did you ever see like the old cartoons where like they were giving the kids spoonfuls of castor oil as their medicine?
Yeah.
It was so strange to me. I was like, why are they taking this medicine? And like all the kids that like all the little cartoons. This was really telling you how old we are. These are like old Hanna-Barbera and before cartoons. Yeah. You know, where they were like, you gotta take your medicine, and they literally it says castor oil on the bottle, and they just pour a whole spoonful and they shove it in the kid's mouth, and the kid's like,
these archaic cartoons were still around.
And
wow.
Yes. So castor oil is rich in triglycerides and ricinoline, which has been long used in the manufacturing of soaps, lubricants, and coatings.
Kind of sounds like ricin, though.
Well, castor oil, though, when they make castor oil, they produce it in such a way that it gets rid of the ricin, the poison.
Oh, okay.
So, like, it's not castor oil itself, when made properly, I guess, is fine. It's not poisonous. It has also been used medicinally to treat constipation, and there's an old wives' tale about it inducing labor. Have you ever heard of that? Like if people are like trying to get labor to start, like if they're either right at their due date or like past their due date, and they're like, oh, come on, you know, like there are different like old wives' tales about like what could potentially start labor. Castor oil is one of them. I don't think I would be willing to try it though, because it sounds disgusting. I don't think I could do that.
Wow.
Fun fact, Camilla came on her due date.
She did.
Soon as midnight passed, I started having contractions.
It was right after.
Right on time. And since then, I have never been able to get her anywhere on time. And it frustrates the full out of me. Okay. Anyway. So there's that. Maybe one day.
One day.
So, yes. It's also in cosmetics. Commercial castor oil is processed and refined and free of ricin and the allergens along with it. So they're able to they were able to heat it up to a certain point. They refine it. Now, in history, castor seeds have been found in Egyptian tombs dating back to 4000 BC, and the oil was used for lamps at that time. The Greek historian Herodotus. I like Herodotus. Among other Greeks, made
Herodotus. I barely know her.
It's just fun to say it fast.
Francisco.
You know what? The guy's dead. So
yeah, do whatever you want.
Made note of the oil for lighting, ointments, and as an ancient hair product. It has been said that Cleopatra used it. We talked about her last episode, actually, to brighten the whites of her eyes. Like,
oh Lord,
I don't know, like Visine. Also, Visine is poisonous. You ever hear that case about the lady who put Visine in her husband's tea or some crap?
No, ma'am.
Yeah, we'll talk about that one day.
That's real.
We'll have to go.
Oh wow.
We'll have to talk about that one day. But I don't recommend putting that in your eyes or anything like that in your eyes. You know what? Don't put anything in your eyes unless your doctor tells you to.
In fact, it's best if you don't speak at all.
It's just don't do that. Please don't do that. Its use as a laxative was reported in the Ebers Papyrus, which is an ancient Egyptian medical treatise believed to have been written in 1552 BC, translated in 1872. So,
wow,
fun times. The oil's use in India has been documented since 2000 BC for lamps and in medicine for laxative use or purgative.
Purgative. There that is again.
Purgative. Yeah.
Purgative.
Will you purge?
Yes.
I like purgative. Prerogative. It's my prerogative.
We already have purgatory.
Purgative. Purgatory.
So, yeah, so it's we'll go with purgative. Just using context clues. Purgative. Let's do that.
You'll feel like you're in purgatory.
That's right.
It has been given to children to help treat parasitic infections in that way. So basically you and then they so
that was a nimble clinical description.
There you go. Ancient Romans used the seeds and oil for lamps as well and as a laxative. A lot of laxative use of this. Pliny the Elder did cite the seeds' poisonous qualities, but recommended the leaves as topical medication for infections of the skin and inflammation if served in wine, which I don't recommend doing that either. I mean,
wow.
I just wouldn't try it without.
We basically recommend nothing on this podcast.
Yeah. So in Haiti, oil was extracted from the seeds to give to newborns as a purgative.
Nailed it.
Affirmative.
Yep.
If I'm saying it wrong, I'm going to feel so embarrassed. I'm going to look it up after this and see if I'm saying it wrong. Purgative.
You know what? We ride.
It's imperative that I know if it's purgative. Okay. It has also been used in China for centuries in local medicine. It was also used as an interrogation tool or punishment by the Black Shirts, which were a paramilitary group under Benito Mussolini.
Wow.
Those being subjected to this treatment would be forced to drink castor oil in large amounts, causing severe diarrhea and oftentimes dehydration and death. No fun. They don't sound like chill guys. It was also used as a motor lubricant around World War I for things like just any kind of motor, including like airplanes and stuff.
Now that's fascinating. I didn't think it was that hardy to be able to withstand machinery.
Well.
Wow.
Jewelry was and is made with castor beans, but if cut or punctured, it may poison the one wearing it. In fact, I think they've had that issue before where people will get these necklaces made by people in these different cultures, and they're like, oh, great, it's something I can take home, not realizing it's castor beans. If you cut it, it can do some harm. So powdered ricin is deadlier than like the whole seed. Really, to be deadly, these seeds have to be kind of chewed up because the outer coating has to be broken, basically. Okay. Now, the poison's in the seed, but ingesting a few seeds rarely leads to death. It takes about 4 to 8 at least to kill an adult, but fewer can cause illness related to poisoning. And poisoning mainly occurs when the seeds are broken, like I said, by chewing. So intact seeds may actually just pass through the digestive tract without releasing the toxin.
Oh, wow.
I mean, if you want to take that risk, I wouldn't want to do that.
No.
Poisoning symptoms usually begin within 2 to 4 hours, but may be delayed by up to 36 hours. Just depends on when it wants to show up. Now, the way ricin works in the body is it stops your cells from producing the proteins that they need to live. So it inhibits protein synthesis. It works slow. And
that is so sinister. That's way different than like cytotoxic.
Well, and it's worse because it spreads. It's not just one cell. So it attaches to the cells all over.
Okay.
Yeah. So it works slow, and depending on the dose, it can lead to a long and agonizing death within like a week. So. Ugh. Now, the first symptoms include difficulty breathing, fever, coughing, nausea, tightness in the throat and chest. Later, there's typically vomiting, bloody diarrhea, and low blood pressure. The victim's lungs may fill with fluid. If untreated, this will lead to respiratory failure and severe organ damage. The spleen, liver, and kidneys may stop working completely, leading to death. So, that's how it works.
Wow.
There is no antidote to ricin poisoning, and treatment depends on the route of exposure. Whether it was inhaled, ingested, injected, or you got like skin or eye exposure. And care includes breathing support, flushing the stomach with activated charcoal, if ingested, giving IV fluids, meds to treat low blood pressure and seizures, and basically cleansing the skin and eyes if that was exposed. Ricin is 6,000 times deadlier than cyanide.
Now that is
so
wild.
There's that. However, unintentional exposure is very unlikely, thankfully, unless you just eat a bunch of castor beans, like chew them up and eat them. But that sounds pretty intentional to me.
Sure.
You're gonna do that. Don't do that.
So don't do that.
Don't do that. Please don't do that.
We got a comment on on the last episode. I love it when Becca says, "Don't do that. Stop that. Don't do that."
Stop that. Just please don't.
Let me ask though. Ricin is so much more deadly than cyanide. Why would people historically reach for cyanide instead of ricin?
Cyanide is much easier to get hold of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, cyanide's more accessible.
Okay.
Because cyanide's been used in so many things like pesticides or those kinds of things. It's much more
available substance.
Yeah, cyanide's much easier to get a hold of. So
right. Okay.
Now, so ricin poisoning, it has to be a deliberate act, technically. So it has been used as a terrorist or warfare agent. The UK and US considered it as a coating for bullets and filling for bombs in the early 20th century. Considered it. I didn't say used it. Considered it. I don't know where that went. So
savage.
I don't know how that ended. But when refined for use as a warfare agent, it may be used to expose people through air, food, or water. It is not used too often in terrorist attacks because targeting large populations would require more than several metric tons of its powdered form to affect so many people.
Okay.
That kind of thing.
All right.
Now, the skills to formulate such an amount are typically beyond terrorists of little means or small operations, basically.
So this is for the bougie terrorists.
Yeah, but it has to be a just right amount around so many people. You know what I mean? We're going to talk in a little bit about the ricin letters. Do you remember when that happened? And gosh, when was it? Was it 2000? I know it was 2013 at one point, I think. We'll talk about it, but
vaguely I remember that.
Yeah, it's deadly when exposed the right way.
Okay.
But it hasn't been liably deadly in many of the terrorist attacks that it's been attempted in because it was just not. Anyway, yeah. Now, if you are exposed, it is advised that you evacuate the area to fresh air, remove clothing, wash all over with soap and water, and seek medical attention. Okay. So we're going to talk about a few cases, documented cases, and you'll kind of see a trend with some of these.
Okay.
Okay.
Is the trend Walter White?
Well, no. I mean, his name turns up a few times.
Sure.
But, so one of the more famous cases is that of Georgy Markov. On September 7th, 1978, Markov was sitting at the bus stop near Waterloo Bridge in London on his way to work at the BBC. He was originally from Bulgaria. He was born in 1929 there and had worked as a journalist and a playwright before defecting, likely because of his dislike of the then communist regime as well as its disapproval of his open criticism.
Okay.
Okay. Now, he eventually moved to London, working as a journalist there for several years. He also made broadcasts once a week for Radio Free Europe for countries without free flow of information, basically. Because, you have countries who, they try to limit information that you're getting.
And those broadcasts would reach those populations? Yeah. Wow. Gutsy.
Somehow. I don't know the specifics of that. But Now, on this particular day, while waiting on the bus, Markov felt a sharp pain like an insect bite, as he described it, in the back of his leg. A man behind him said, "I'm sorry," while picking up an umbrella and swiftly leaving. By that evening, he was running a high fever and was admitted to St. James Hospital. Upon examination of the area he had felt the pain earlier in the day, doctors discovered a tiny metal sphere. It's basically a modified watch bearing. Actually, yeah. The size of a pinhead. It had 2 holes that had originally been sealed with wax or some sugary substance to contain the poison within it. His body temperature melted the seal, releasing the poison, which is believed to be ricin. And it was suggested by Porton Down, the British research and weapons base, that the umbrella had been a modified weapon made to shoot the pellet under the skin.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
Yeah.
This is some spy stuff, bro.
Markov's fever remained high, and after 3 days of pain, he died.
Wow.
It is believed that he was murdered by Bulgarian secret services. This was in 1978. There actually was an earlier case, I think, in 1971 of a Soviet dissident and novelist, Alexander Solzhenitsyn. I cannot. I'm sorry.
Show me that.
I cannot pronounce his name.
Let me hold it. I can't wait to try this. Alexander Solzhenitsyn.
I'm sure someone knows the story. I was not alive at this time. So he survived a ricin attack by the KGB in 1971. It was delivered via some sort of gel-based
And the KGB
method.
Doesn't miss, bro. So congratulations.
Yeah, well.
Wow.
So now Vladimir Kostov was another Bulgarian defector living in Paris at the time. He was the victim of a similar attack 10 days prior to Markov, feeling a sharp pain in his back while on a subway escalator. He survived, however, likely because the pellet failed to stay under his skin. He suffered a high fever for 2 days, but recovered. He had not seen an umbrella, only a man with a briefcase, leading some to believe that the weapon might have been more like a modified pen or something, and like the umbrella from before might have just been a prop. They don't know that the umbrella was the weapon.
Yeah, it's all conjecture.
Yeah, they're trying to put it together. Now, the communist government collapsed in 1989, and free elections were held the following year in Bulgaria. And after the end of the Cold War, records were uncovered suggesting that there had been several plans to silence Markov, and they had given him the code name the Wanderer. After further investigation, it is believed that the assassin was known as Agent Piccadilly. And all I can think of is that restaurant that used to be around here.
The cafeteria. The Piccadilly.
It's where all like the much older people go. God. It's like a cafeteria kind of setting.
It's their heaven.
But yeah, he was believed to be former drug dealer Francesco Guglino, who was working for the Communist Party at the time. No one has been charged, but interviews in a 2006 British documentary called The Umbrella Assassin revealed that, I don't even know if I'm saying this guy's name right, Guglino was alive and well, traveling throughout Europe. Later, detectives were sent to further investigate and would discover that he died in Austria in August of 2021. Can't do anything about it once he's dead, I guess.
Spy stuff, bro.
More spy stuff.
Okay.
In August of 1981, CIA agent Boris Korsov was shot with some sort of weapon that fired a tiny pellet containing ricin while he was shopping at Giant Food Store. It's an interesting name for a grocery store.
That's what it was called?
Giant Food Store.
Okay. What should we call it? I don't know. It's kind of big.
I just see people going in and lifting giant cans of Green Giant. This is in Vienna, Virginia. It apparently hit his kidney, and his body expelled it like it would a kidney stone.
Bruh.
Ouch. Before it could kill him. So he survived because his body literally just expelled it. Talk about some superhuman
Does he
stuff.
Play the lottery?
So Boris had infiltrated the KGB but had been exposed. It is believed the assassination attempt was the work of the KGB.
Well.
Now, there were several cases of randos either trying to smuggle or create ricin, basically extract it from castor beans throughout the mid to and late 90s and through the early 2000s, mainly in the US and England, some in Germany. What I'm going to talk about is in Norway recently. So that's interesting.
Oh.
I'm just going to mention a few notable ones so we aren't here forever because there's quite a lot of them.
That's crazy.
Now, in November of 1999, a man named James Gluck was apprehended in Tampa, Florida by the FBI after he threatened to kill court officials in his hometown of Colorado, mentioning one judge by name, and threatening to, quote unquote, wage biological warfare. He basically sent these Jefferson County, judges a 10-page letter of threats. Once he was arrested, his street was blocked off and his house searched by police and hazmat officials. And it was discovered that he did have the ingredients to make ricin, as well as test tubes and beakers and a copy of the Anarchist's Cookbook. You ever heard of that?
No. What is that?
I've heard of it before,
and
but
why don't you own it?
Because it has like things for nefarious use in it, I think.
Can you actually buy the book? Is it available?
I've never checked. I've heard of it before, though. I've heard you can
Google all the stuff now anyway. So
I'm sure you can buy it, but it's got like recipes for things you probably shouldn't be making.
Okay.
Yeah. Anarchist Cookbook.
Anarchist Cookbook. Wait, what was this guy's beef with these judges?
I literally wrote LOL right next to the Anarchist Cookbook.
See that? You did. And I'm laughing out loud. That's crazy.
I'm actually not sure what his deal with it. I tried to look further into it, but all I could find was like the ricin stuff. I'm sure there was something going on.
Yeah, it had to been something.
Yeah,
he was ticked off.
He was ticked off.
Yeah.
But no refined ricin was found. He hadn't made any yet. I guess he was planning to.
Mm-hmm. But we can put two and two together.
Yeah.
You're going to jail.
So in June of 2002, Spokane Valley, Washington. Spokane? Where's the E at the end?
Man, listen.
Spokane.
They do things. They do what they
below the Appalachian. It's Spokane.
They do what they want in Washington.
Spokane.
Right? Spokane, Washington. 100% sure.
You can in Spokane, Washington.
Exactly.
Well, I learned something new today.
Also, what do you have to say for yourselves, residents of Washington? Why are you pronouncing this word? Spokane.
Well, we have, what is it? We have an area here called, we call it.
Stupid. I know exactly what you're going to say.
Everyone calls it Martinez. It should be pronounced Martinez.
Guys, it's literally the Latin name Martinez.
But everyone says Martinez.
Yes, it is the hickiest, Caucasianist thing you've ever heard.
So strange.
It's so stupid.
As you can tell, I've never been to Washington. But maybe I can Spokane one day.
Maybe I can Spokane.
Yeah. Maybe I Spokane. I Spokane won't go to Washington.
Oh, man.
I have problems. So Kenneth Olson, who's 48, was arrested for possessing ricin in his office cubicle.
What?
Yeah.
At work?
Mm-hmm.
Bro.
Yeah. He was a software engineer. I don't know why it's making me laugh.
What are you doing, bro?
His coworkers had tipped off the FBI after noticing he had printed information and documents based on the searches "how to kill," "undetectable poisons,"
bro, come on,
and bomb making. Also, ricin is not undetectable, so somebody lied to him, I guess.
See, that sounds like Senator Bob Menendez, who literally Googled, how much is a gold bar worth? And it came out that he was accepting gold bars as bribes.
Oh, my God. Well, my thing is, like, this guy's a software engineer. You would think
he's a dumb software engineer.
He would know
that's just
something about computers.
Just like Bob Menendez is a dumb politician.
There's a lot of dumb politicians.
Well, that's the bar's in hell. Let's continue.
We literally live in Georgia. There's a few that we could name.
Oh, man. When you think about it too much, you drink.
Okay. Anyway. Now, Olson said that his research was for a Boy Scout project.
Is he involved with the Boy Scouts?
Was.
He was.
But they found test tubes, castor beans, glass jars, and about 1 gram of ricin.
Come on, man.
In his office.
At the job. Job with the stuff.
He was eventually convicted of possessing a chemical weapon and possessing a biological weapon and was sentenced to 165 months, which is just, it's about 14
How many years?
Almost
Okay.
14 years. I don't know why they wrote it that way.
It's like talking to a mom of a small child. How old is he? Oh, he's 165 months. Lady, I don't have a calculator in my hand. Anyways.
And I'm not good at mental math. The numbers get all switched up in my brain.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, we're going to talk about the 2003 letters. There's also 2013 letters. I was making sure I didn't quote that wrong earlier. But yeah, the 2003 letters.
These are Ricin letters. Somebody used a letter to poison.
Basically.
Wow.
So on October 15th, a package containing a letter with a small vial of ricin powder was discovered at a mail sorting center in Greenville, South Carolina. I said Greenville, right? You know why? Because I lived close to South Carolina.
Yeah, it's Greenville.
Yeah.
I
said Greenville.
Sure.
I'm just saying I said that one right because I know where that's at. It'd be a shame if I got that one wrong because I was close to it.
How else would one pronounce Greenville though?
Renville? I don't know. Look, let me have my moment.
You just made that up.
I did.
Nobody's ever said that ever.
No. But they say Martinez here.
Good, great point.
So I'm just saying.
Grenade Viola.
I'm just saying. A label on the outside of the envelope, containing the vial read, "Caution, ricin poison enclosed in sealed container. Do not open without proper protection." This is a very
What?
This poisoner has manners, apparently. The CDC.
I'm so confused.
It gets worse. The CDC confirmed the powder was ricin. There was a typewritten letter in the envelope addressed to the U.S. Department of Transportation by someone signed, quote unquote, "Fallen Angel." And
It's a dumb angel.
He was apparently a fleet owner. He claimed to be a fleet owner, threatening to produce and spread more ricin if the hours for truckers were changed to 10 hours from the already 8 hours.
Okay.
So
start a union, buddy.
Don't they have a union?
I think, well, yeah, the Teamsters.
Yeah.
I mean, not every truck driver is a Teamster, but like it, you can make a call.
I don't know. Anyway.
Wow.
No one was exposed to or injured by the ricin. There was also no delivery address or postmark. It just showed up there. I guess he just dropped it off and just forgot to write where it was supposed to go. I don't know.
I'm unimpressed with 2 of these poisoners.
Or maybe he
far.
Maybe he like addressed it to the Department of Transportation and was like, they'll know where it's at. I don't know. I don't know where it's at. I'm horrible with geography. That's one thing that's never interested me is geography, and so
you're uninterested.
I'm very Now I do find geography of other places interesting, like other countries.
Yeah, the U.S. You're take it or leave it.
Yeah, like the Midwest. I don't know what's out there. I'm sorry, y'all. I don't.
If someone comments, "Much love from Kansas," we're like, "What is Kansas?"
No, I know where Kansas. Kansas is near Oklahoma.
It is.
Yeah, I know where that is because it looks like the pot. Oklahoma looks like the pot on top of Texas.
That's right. And Kansas looks like a loaf of bread.
I know where Tornado Alley is because I was obsessed with tornadoes as a child.
Now you're talking.
So
okay,
I know where that's at.
All right,
I know where that's at.
All right.
But the rest of it, no. Nope. Don't ask me what the state's capitals are.
What's the capital of Kansas?
Topeka.
Yes. Oh my God.
I do know that one.
Cheater. What's the capital of Oklahoma City?
I know now.
What's the capital of Oklahoma? City.
Right. Now back to Fallen Angel.
Oh man. All right.
Okay.
What's the capital of Austin? Texas.
Literally got confused for a second. Like, what? Oh, okay. Another nearly identical letter with a ricin vial was discovered at the White House November 6th of 2003. It was the White House Mail Processing Center in D.C. Because I know the White House is in D.C.
Right. There you have it.
This one was addressed to the White House, though the threat was toward the Department of Transportation again.
Listen, DOT, you gotta quit being jerks to people, okay?
Now, it's the same guy. Now,
okay.
This one...
It's me again.
I got your address. Well, I got one address.
You may remember me from another thing.
Grenville didn't know where the Department of Transportation was. Maybe the White House will.
Why did you say?
Because I said it earlier.
Granville.
Greenville. My bad.
Grinchville.
Greenville. Anyway. Now this one said, Department of Transportation, if you change the hours of service on January 4th, 2004, I will turn DC into a ghost town. The powder on the letter is ricin. Have a nice day, fallen angel.
So,
it's very polite.
They wrote back, Dear Gary, we know it's you. We are outside your house right now.
Actually, there was a reward.
I thought you were going to say, actually, his name is Gary.
No, that would be funny. It's
Gary,
pronounced,
fallen angel.
It's pronounced Garai.
Okay.
But anyway, in 2004, there was a reward for connections leading to apprehending this so-called fallen angel. It was like 100,000. It went up to like 120,000 because there was another. Well, we'll get to that. Mm-hmm. No one has ever been caught or charged in those two.
Oh, okay.
Now in February,
Gary's out there somewhere.
Now in February of 2004, which is, soon after, the mailroom serving Senator Bill Frist in the Dirksen
from Tennessee
Senate office building in D.C. was closed. The whole office and a few others were closed, actually.
Yeah.
After a white powdery substance was found on a sorting machine. Tests confirmed it was ricin, but no one knows where it came from or if it's connected to the previous cases. They never found the source of it.
Oh, so they only found it on the machine.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was those letters / other incident that may or may not be related. They never caught fallen angel. Gary. Garai. Now, in November of 2011, separate case. This is in Gainesville, Georgia.
Heyo.
I don't even know there. Gainesville. I've heard of it. I've never been there. My world is so small. Anyway, 4 men were arrested for plotting to deploy ricin and explosives to kill several American politicians, media figures, IRS employees, and civilians so they could, quote unquote, save this country.
I've heard people use that kind of language lately.
They were apparently a part of a domestic militia group.
I knew it.
This would be Frederick Thomas, 73, Dan Roberts, 67.
Rebecca.
Ray,
73 years old. Fred.
He's bored.
Calm down.
Ray
bro.
H. Adams, 65. And Adams was actually a former employee of the Agricultural Research Service.
Okay.
Yeah. And Samuel J. Crump, who was 68 and a former CDC employee. I don't know what he did there, but
what in the world is wrong with these guys? This is 2013?
2011.
11? Imagine throwing your life away in your early 70s, dude.
Well, they believed they were doing something for some cause, so.
Okay.
Now, their plans included making 10 pounds of ricin to spread in major cities, dispersing ricin in an airplane over D.C., it's lofty goals, and attacking other places with explosives. They were arrested before they could do all that, of course. So
did they find anything in the way of a manifesto or ideology?
I don't think so.
I'd love to know.
I think I read only 2 of them went to jail. I'm thinking the other 2 might have died.
Well, yeah.
I couldn't find any more information on them.
Guy's 73 already.
Yeah, so
13 years ago.
Anyway, So 2013, there are more letters. This is in April 15th, and we're not talking about Fallen Angel Guy unless you went by something different this time.
Is it Crump?
No. So, April of 2013, an envelope addressed to the office of Mississippi Republican Senator Roger Wicker was intercepted and tested positive for ricin. April 17th, 2013, an envelope addressed to President Barack Obama was also tested positive for ricin. Both were mailed from Memphis, Tennessee, and included phrases like, "No one wanted to listen to me before. There are still, quote unquote, missing pieces. Maybe I have your attention now, even if that means someone must die. This must stop. To see a wrong and not expose it is to become a silent partner to its continuance. I am KC and I approve this message."
It sounds like a villain from a comic book movie. Like the Riddler, sincerely, the Riddler.
Also, another letter like this was mailed to Mississippi Judge Sadie Holland around this time. Now, June 3rd of 2013, James Everett Dutschke was indicted by a federal grand jury on 5 counts. He pleaded guilty in 2014 and was sentenced to 25 years to those letters.
Wow.
We are going to talk about somebody completely different.
Okay.
This is actually an actress. I've never heard of her, though. Shannon Richardson. You ever heard of Shannon Richardson?
I don't recall that name.
Yeah. In May of 2013, U.S. actress Shannon Richardson was going through a divorce. She accused her husband, Nathan, of mailing ricin to politicians, including President Barack Obama and New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg.
Oh, my gosh.
It turns out she did it. She mailed the letters to frame him. She pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 18 years.
Wow.
March of 2014, a 19-year-old Nicholas Todd Hellman was arrested for sending a scratch and sniff birthday card laced with ricin to a man dating his ex. So that's something.
I just found Shannon Richardson on IMDb.
What was she in?
She was in The Walking Dead, Vampire Diaries.
Wait.
This is her. Born in 1977, known for minor roles in The Walking Dead, Vampire Diaries, The Blind Side.
It's actually recent stuff.
She was arrested in Texas in 2013 for allegedly sending envelopes laced with the poison ricin to Barack Obama.
Jesus.
Michael Bloomberg.
Okay.
2014, she was sentenced to 18 years in prison in a plea bargain on a federal charge of possessing and producing biological toxin.
Yeah, she took the plea bargain so she could only get 18 years. Anyway. So there you go. Now, in July of 2015, in Liverpool, England, 31-year-old Muhammad Ali was convicted of attempting
I'm sorry, say that again?
Not the boxer.
Okay.
Was convicted of attempting to possess a chemical weapon. Back in January, he had tried to buy 500 milligrams of ricin on the dark web.
Well, there we go.
But was actually in contact with an FBI agent and was sent a harmless powder. Ali had apparently been...
What you do not smell or taste is iocane powder.
Oh.
You see me do some fella. I hate to die.
Ali had apparently been influenced by an episode on Breaking Bad.
You're joking.
He was given a sentence of 8 years for this.
He should have been given a year for every season of the show Breaking Bad. 12 seasons, 12 years.
That would be funny.
Be hysterical if the judge just outright says it.
I would have done it if I were I'd be a funny judge. I really would. Now, in February 2017, William Christopher Gibbs, 27 years old, drove himself to the ER in Fannin County, Georgia. I have no idea where that is.
Northwest Georgia, I believe.
Northwest. Okay. There you go. I live in Georgia. Doesn't mean I know where everything in Georgia is.
That's my guess. You got me looking it up now.
Yeah. Like, I know where Atlanta is, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But there are a lot of small areas, rural towns and stuff here. So now he said he had been exposed to ricin and they found ricin in his car. The National Guard and local fire departments were called to his hometown of Morganton. Does that help?
Is that Georgia?
I guess.
Okay.
Where they
Fannin
found
County is north central Georgia. Like you go straight from Atlanta north and Fannin County's right there.
Okay.
It's on the Georgia, Tennessee, North Carolina border. It shares 3 different borders.
Okay. So, yeah, they were called to his hometown where they found no evidence of the public being at risk. He was arrested, but got off on some loophole. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. There are multiple sources connecting this guy, William Christopher Gibbs, to the white supremacist group known as Creativity Alliance.
Dude, lock this guy up.
Okay.
Give me a break.
I remember looking this up because I was like, what the heck is that? It's, I looked it up and it makes no sense to me. I mean, obviously, like, white supremacy, racism, none of that makes sense to me anyway. I think those people are just crazy.
No.
It's awful.
None of that is based in logic.
Don't be racist.
Stop doing that.
Don't be a jerk.
Have you ever thought about not doing that?
Yeah, here we go. Oh my God. Okay.
What did you find?
So it's apparently known historically as the Church of the Creator, but it's an atheistic white supremacist new religious movement.
I'm already so confused.
It's called the Church of the Creator, but it's atheistic.
Okay. Who's the creator then? Quick question. What's the creator doing in an atheistic church? Also, why are atheists going to church?
It was founded in Lighthouse Point, Florida by Ben Klassen.
Okay.
As the Church of the Creator in 1973. It now has presence in several states of the U.S. as well as Australia, Eastern Europe, and the United Kingdom. So watch out for them.
What?
Yeah. Watch out.
I'm like Elmo with Zoe and the Rocco. What?
Yeah. Watch out for those guys, y'all. Now, October 2nd, 2018, ricin particles were detected in mail sent to the Pentagon addressed to Jim Mattis, Secretary of Defense, John Richardson, Chief of Naval Operations, and President at the time, Donald Trump, and Ted Cruz, Texas.
Yep.
Yeah.
Was he the Senate Majority Leader at the time? I can't remember. He might have been.
No idea. Now, when I say ricin particles, these were just technically ground up castor beans. So it's not like they were like, he didn't like refine it into powder. He just ground them up, I guess, in a way.
Is it technically still toxic in that form?
Yeah, it can be, but okay. If you're noticing a trend of all these like people sending ricin through the mail, it's just kind of weird. Now it's like they're, seeing other people do this or watching an episode of Breaking Bad. I don't know how he introduces the toxin to whoever he introduces it to, but anyway. Yeah, so William Clyde Allen III, he was 39. He was a former member of the U.S. Navy living in Utah. He was arrested in connection and later confessed. A package containing ricin was addressed to Donald Trump again in September 2020. A Canadian woman was arrested in connection to this incident.
That's crazy.
A lot of letters and packages with ricin.
Yeah, and I'm always struck when it's an ex-military person. Because, like, I think of, like, the guy who bombed the 1996 Olympics in Atlanta and was also bombing a bunch of abortion clinics. That guy was ex-special forces. Like, some of these people come out of military service with, like, these crazy niche skill sets, and they end up connecting with radicalized ideology, and they just...
Well, there's also a lot of mental health issues. Because I used to work for the VA.
Yes, you did.
And the amount of mental health problems... They had their own issues with running into toxins at their time.
Yes.
They also PTSD, head wounds, head injuries. We had a guy that still had a bullet in his brain. Okay, and there's a lot going on. Like so there's a lot of mental health stuff that doesn't get addressed or taken care of. And I've seen a lot of these people too end up on the streets because they're just not. They're not looked after. They're not cared for. Like and it's really sad.
Very.
So now this is in Germany, June 13th, 2018, an apartment in Cologne, Germany. Am I saying that one right?
Yes.
It's not Cologne. Certainly. It has to be Cologne, right?
That is Cologne.
Cologne, Germany was raided and police found large amounts of castor beans, more than 3,000 to be exact, and ricin powder, 84.3 milligrams of that. I'm sorry for saying this name wrong. Saif.
Sounds good to me.
Saif Allah H was arrested, and later his wife for assisting.
Saif Allah. That's probably how you say that. Is he Arabic?
Yeah.
Middle Eastern? Yeah, okay.
Saif, sorry.
Saif is probably said really quickly, those two vowels. Saif. Saif.
Saif.
That's my best approximation. I'm sorry.
I'm learning names. If this is your name, I'm sorry. I will do better.
Yeah, if I hear a native speaker say something once, I'm like, got it.
CF,
we don't have that. So
CF Allah H was arrested, and later his wife were assisting. He was charged with planning a serious act of violence against the state and being in a terrorist organization. He was sentenced to 10 years.
Wow.
Seems awful light for a terrorist sort of thing, but okay.
Yeah.
And the latest, June 2023, was in Oslo, Norway.
Oh.
A teenager called an ambulance for himself, saying he had been exposed to ricin. Turns out he was attempting to make ricin at home and succeeded. He confessed to making it, but he pleaded not guilty to his case because he said he did not intend to use it to hurt anyone.
Okay.
This case is ongoing. So that's ricin. Now, I wanted to quickly discuss, for just a brief moment, another toxin called Abrin.
You said this is a similar compound?
It's very similar.
Okay.
It's very similar to ricin, except for it is about 75 times more toxic than ricin.
Oh my gosh.
So,
okay.
It's similar in that it inhibits cells from making proteins needed to live. This substance is found in the rosary pea plant, Abris precatorius.
Rosary pea plant.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is a climbing vine, often with clusters of pale violet flowers and pods containing toxic seeds. These seeds are a glossy red with a black dot on one end. They're actually very unique looking.
Okay.
This plant is also called the jaquirity bean. I could totally be butchering that.
Can I see that word?
Jaquirity.
I'm always interested. Jaquirity.
Jaquirity.
Yeah, I have never heard that word. That's the best attempt I can come up with too.
There you go. These plants are native to the tropics of Africa and Asia. Now, these beans, again, they're seeds, have been used in jewelry, but can lead to poisoning if the beads are eaten. Also, the jeweler is in danger of exposure. Like if he or she has like a small prick with a needle in the presence of Abrin dust, or
this is just like the pufferfish stuff.
Could lead to death.
Yeah. Get a shell necklace, for God's sake.
A single seed, if chewed well, can kill you.
Okay.
So, now symptoms of this poisoning are similar to those of ricin poisoning, as are treatments. There is no reliable test for Abrin and no antidote. It can be made in the form of a powder, a mist, or a pellet, or dissolved in water. So similar to like ricin can be.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on the route of exposure, death can occur within 36 to 72 hours. Accidental exposure is not likely, although children have been attracted to the colorful seeds. So imagine, you kind of have to teach children in these areas not to go near those. Mm-hmm. And it has been used in suicides in places like India. Like ricin, it typically takes a deliberate act to get this from the rosary pea plant. So it's not like you have to make it, really.
Mm-hmm.
It is not known to have been used in any wars or terrorist attacks, thankfully. But I did find a case of its use.
Okay.
In September 2014 in London, Kuntal Patel, 37 years old, tried to kill her mother, who was a magistrate working in domestic violence and race relations over there. Her mother's name was Mina. She was 60. She tried to kill her by slipping Abrin into her Diet Coke because she was controlling and would not allow her to marry the man she loved.
Oh, no.
Now, the plot was said to be inspired, again, by the episode of Breaking Bad with Ricin.
No.
She acquired it over the dark web. This dark web, though.
It's out there.
From a vendor in the U.S. using Bitcoin.
Oh.
This vendor, Jesse Korf, alias...
I thought you were going to say Jesse Pinkman, because that's the character's name. Walter White's accomplice is named Jesse Pinkman.
No.
Oh, my God.
Jesse Korf, alias the Snowman. And the FBI had been watching...
Has he seen Smokey and the Bandit?
No. The FBI had been watching this whole interaction, I guess. Now, her mother, who was definitely she was abusive, did survive. And Patel was acquitted of attempted murder, but found guilty of acquiring a biological agent.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
But yeah, that is the two I wanted to discuss today because they're very similar. And
certainly,
it's an interesting poison in the way that it works in your body. Not fun.
Yeah, it's not directly cytotoxic. It just stops your cells from
producing
That's fascinating.
It attaches to them and makes them stop producing the proteins you need to live.
Crazy.
But yeah, don't eat that.
Don't do that.
Yeah. And
stop that.
And don't send stuff in the mail. What is wrong with y'all? Don't do that.
Gary. God.
Right? Just turn yourself in. It's only 2 hours. Anyway.
So thank you guys for listening. That's it for this episode. If you can, go to whatever platform you're listening on, leave us a 5-star review. That helps a ton to push the podcast out to other listeners who enjoy the podcast just like you. Be sure to follow us on socials. We have the links to all our social accounts in the show notes. And also, especially the podcast Instagram, poisoners_almanac. Becca runs that account herself. She's putting all sorts of juicy info on all things poison on that account. And we will see y'all in the next episode.
Sorry, Spokane.
Thanks for listening, Spokane. Bye-bye.